Good afternoon and welcome to the fourth concurrent session of the day, Mathematics Software Demonstration. Our presenter today is Catherine Schaefer with Hawks Learning. If you have questions for the presenter during the session, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. We're also giving away 3 $25 Amazon gift cards at the end of this session. To enter for a chance to win, click the link in the chat and enter your name onto the prize wheel. And with that, I will hand it over to Catherine.
Thank you, Joanna, and thank you everyone for being here with us today. I'll start sharing my screen, so you should be able to see that. Again, I am Catherine Schaefer, and one of the educational courseware representatives here at Hawks Learning. If you would, as Joanna mentioned, please do put any questions that you have in the Q&A, and I will be sure to address those at the end. So for this session, we're going to be focusing on the mathematics software, so what the software within Hawks looks like for any math course. They all function the same way. Just a quick agenda for today. We'll go into a brief introduction on who Hawks is. We'll talk about some of our different math course offerings. We'll go through the student experience. If we have some time, we'll also jump into the instructor side as well, so you can see those resources available for you as an instructor. And then again, I will leave time at the end for questions. So to start out, who is Hawks? We do at Hawks have 3 main core values. So number 1 is affordability. We like to make sure that we can place a big emphasis on keeping our materials affordable for students while still maintaining quality materials. So our math titles range anywhere from $68 to $90 net price to the bookstore. So keep in mind the bookstore would have a markup on those, but it does vary. Depending on the title, a lot of the higher price, the 80 and 90, are going to be the calculus sequence and materials that would cover a multi-course sequence. The next core value is our support. We do place a big emphasis on our customer support. So with that, we're available Monday through Friday via phone. We always answer the phone within the first 4 rings. It will be a live person that will be able to help you or your student right. We're also available 24/7 via live chat. So if you or your students are up late at night working in the Hawks courseware, we are able to help around the clock. The last core value here is our mastery learning, which is just our pedagogical approach. I'll share more in depth about that once we jump into the student side of the platform. Again, just to mention a little bit about our purchasing, we do have various different models. So we do have that traditional bookstore model, which you'll see here in this first column. We do have an option where students can purchase directly from Hawks. And then we have seen the inclusive access model become more and more popular. So that's also available as well. There are different things that are available for each model. So all 3 of them, students do receive access on the first day to the content. So whether that be through the inclusive access or through our 21 days of temporary access, no matter what model you do, students do get access to it from the first day. We do offer lifetime licensing available in those first 2 models. You have the option to print or to bundle in print materials. So whether it be a physical textbook, guided notebook, and then that last one, you do have the option to include the cost of materials and the tuition through inclusive access. So real quick, just to mention our current math course offerings. So we offer things all the way from developmental math all the way through statistics and calculus. So a lot of different options there. If there's something you're interested in taking a look at, let us know. We'd be happy to send you a copy for review, whether you prefer digitally or physical text. We're happy to send those out. I also wanted to briefly mention, because we know that the co-requisite style is still a big push around the country. So we do have 5 different products for various co-requisite courses. So the Viewing Life Mathematically is going to be for like a quantitative literacy or quantitative reasoning course. We have the college algebra, pre-calculus, beginning and discovering statistics. So all of those are available with a co-rec as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into the student side of the platform. Let's jump over here, and I am going to go into college algebra today. It does function the same across all of the titles. Before we jump into the content itself, I am going to start at the top of the screen in this black ribbon. On the far left-hand side, you'll see this grades tab. So students can access their up-to-date grades here. We do fully integrate with different LMS such as Canvas, Blackboard, D2L or Brightspace, and Moodle. So within those, there are several different options. So you have single sign-on where students can access their account directly through their LMS. All of them have the automatic grade syncing. You also, in some of them, have the capability for the deep linking or where students can access their individual assignments directly from the LMS as well. So again, we do integrate with those, but there are various options depending on the LMS. Next to that is our ebooks tab. This is where students can access an up-to-date version of the ebook. So an online PDF version here, it automatically comes with the purchase of an access code. So having a physical text is completely up to you if you want to require it. A lot of instructors will leave it optional for students. We still have some students who prefer that physical copy as well. Next to that is our discussions tab. There's two features here, live chat and discussion board. Live chat is a place where you could host virtual office hours. Discussion board is a place where you could post a topic and students could thread their responses to it below. Moving to the right of the screen, you'll see this bell. This is our internal alert system. So when a student logs in, they may see this red circle with a number inside of it. This is indicating how many items are in high priority or in need of the student's attention. When they click on that bell, it's going to break those items up by due today, due tomorrow, or past due. So we've mimicked social media here. We know students are used to getting those notifications, and so we want to draw their attention there. To the right of that is our envelope. This is our internal messaging system and acts as an additional way to communicate with your students. What I most commonly see this feature used for, though, is our automated assignment reminders. And the way that this works is, let's say at the beginning of the semester, you wanted to set it up where 24 hours prior to any homework assignment's due date, you wanted it to send an email reminder letting your students know that they have 24 or X number of hours to complete that assignment. You set it up one time and you don't have to think about it again throughout the semester. It will send those email reminders to your students. On the flip side, I work with a number of instructors who prefer to send it 24 X number of hours past any due date, reminding any student who has not yet completed that assignment that they could still go in and complete it for partial credit or whatever you may offer. In this drop-down menu, a couple things I will point out. The first is this live support. Again, we do offer the 24/7 live chat. Students can access that directly through their account. They can also, you or your student can also find all of our contact information by simply Googling Hawks Learning. We make it very easy to get a hold of us. Below that is a training video. This is just a brief video showing students how to navigate the platform and then give feedback, win prizes. We love getting students and instructors feedback, and in return, we'll enter you into a monthly drawing of a gift card. Now, coming onto the dashboard, when a student logs in, they'll see the course they're enrolled in. It'll have their school, their instructor's name, and the section they're in. And then they'll have this mini to-do list with any of the assignments you've already assigned to them, broken up by due today, due within a week, or due later. Excuse me. Now, a student can click directly into any of these homework lessons from this screen, or at the top right-hand corner of this box, you'll see this blue View Course button. Students can click on that, and it's going to take them to a comprehensive to-do list. Again, all of those assignments you've assigned to them with the corresponding due dates on the right. Now, by default, we do have it in chronological order. I will mention that you can change these headers. So if you do more of the modular style, you could change it to Module 1, Module 2, Unit 1, Unit 2, whatever you want it to be. Again, by default, it is just in chronological order. Now I'll go ahead and click into a homework lesson. They all function the same way. There's 3 modes in the recommended learning path: learn, practice, and certify. So students are going to start in this learn mode, and this is a multimedia presentation of the textbook content. So everything that the student would find within the physical textbook can be found right here in these screens. Now, a couple things I do want to point out in here, in addition to all of the content and the text and everything, again, that they would find in the physical text, we have brought in every single example, but with it being online, we're able to embed what we call our example level videos. So this here on my screen is an example of an example level video. So this would be a brief video of an instructor working through this example. Great for a student who maybe prefers visual or auditory learning. At the top left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see this watch button. Students can click on this and it's going to take them to what we call our lesson level video. So this video is going to be, again, a brief video of an instructor talking about the lesson as a whole. Now, these are not intended to take the place of lecture. They are brief videos, but just to be an additional resource for students. So great for maybe someone who missed a day of class, preparing for an upcoming test or quiz or anything like that. Coming back out, the last thing that I will mention in the learn mode is that you do on the instructor side have the option to customize these screens. So at the top of this screen, you can see this is our default content, but you do have the option to add in your own notes, add in your own videos. You can hide any of our screens, replace them with your own. Very easy to customize these screens. Now, once a student has gone through learn, they are ready to move on to practice. And practice is going to be just that. This is going to be a penalty-free environment, a place for students to practice those concepts that they were just learning. Now, all of the questions in the practice mode are algorithmically generated, so students aren't receiving the same questions in the same order as their peers. Because we're not taking this portion for a grade, we do offer students a number of learning aids that you'll see at the bottom of the screen. So starting in the bottom right-hand corner is this try similar. Students can click on this, get the same question type, just a different iteration or with different values. Each question type has roughly 50 or so iterations, so students can really work through as many of these as they wish. To the left of that is skip. Students can skip over questions. They can focus their time on the ones that they feel that they struggle with the most. Now, let's say a student gets to this question. I'm going to go ahead and put in an answer. Now, I did use my keyboard shortcut, but on the right-hand side, we do have this keypad that students can use. I'm going to go ahead and put in an answer. Just like any online system, it's going to tell the student if their answer is right or wrong. If their answer is incorrect, they're going to have two options. They could go back and try again, or they can click on this explain error. We actually have a built-in artificial intelligence that's going to pinpoint and diagnose common student errors. So it says here, the answer you submitted is incorrect. It appears you multiplied the exponents instead of adding as indicated by the following property of exponents. So not only do we want to tell the student that they're wrong, we want to tell them why they're wrong. So they're learning from their mistakes right then and there. We know many times students are up late at night completing their homework. You're probably not available to help them at that time. There may not be anybody else in the household available to help. So we want to give them the feedback that we truly believe you as their instructor would give to them if they were to come see you during office hours or class time or anything like that. Now, coming back out, we'll go ahead and skip over to another question. And let's say a student gets to a question and they just have no idea where to begin. In the bottom left-hand corner is this tutor button. Students can click on this and it's going to take them step by step how to solve the problem. So at the top left, you can see we're on step 1 of 3. Students will put in their answer for this first part or first step, and then be able to move on to the next. So really just holding the student's hand, guiding them down the path of answering it correctly. At the top right, you can see students can toggle back to learn. They could go back and reference a part in the text, or they can click on solution to see a fully worked out solution with the correct answer. Now, once a student has gone through all of their practice problems, they are ready to move on to certify. And certify is really just Hawk's fancy word for homework. This is the part that we're taking for a grade. Now, in here, you'll see it looks very similar to practice, same question types, different iterations. Again, the questions are algorithmically generated, so students are not receiving the same questions in the same order as their peers. The biggest difference between practice and certify is that in certify, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, we've removed those learning aids. So students no longer have the skip, tutor, try similar, any of those. We know that when students are given crutches, they learn to lean on these crutches so much that when it's time to remove them, say come test time, students aren't able to stand on their own. So we really want to hold students accountable for knowing this content or this material. That way they're better prepared and performing better on your tests and quizzes. Now, the last thing I'll mention here in the certify mode is that we do take the mastery approach. And what I mean by that is every lesson will have a number of questions. Of those questions, by default, we're expecting students to get about 80% correct. If the student reaches that 80% mastery mark, we're actually going to give the student a 100% in the gradebook for completing that assignment. Now, 80 is our default. So you on the instructor side, you can change that to whatever you think is best for your students. Could be 95, 75, completely up to you. In this specific example, though, you can see at the top left, we have 15 questions. And again, of those 15, we're expecting students to get about 80% correct. So that means they're going to have a little bit of wiggle room. You'll see at the top right-hand corner of the screen, we have this red heart with a number 3 inside of it. This is indicating how many strikes or lives or questions a student can miss and still receive that full credit. Now, let's say a student reaches that fourth incorrect question. So they've gone over their allotted number of strikes or lives. We're going to stop students where they are in certified. We're going to take them out of certified, place them back into practice where they're going to receive a custom set of questions based on what they missed in certified. So they're not going back and having to start all over again. We just want them to go back and work on those few question types that they struggled with. It's going to be that adaptive remediation, and then we're going to allow them to come back into certified, attempt a new set of questions, and still have a chance at getting 100%, as long as it's before the due date. We found that this has been a more motivational approach to homework because students know that they have the chance to do well. Now I'm going to go ahead and come out. So that, again, is an example of what a homework lesson within the Hawks platform looks like. I do want to jump over. There's another feature within the student side that I like to share, especially in a math course. I think it's very nice for students. We'll jump over here to web test. This is where students would find any kind of quiz test that you've assigned, but you can see that they can also toggle over here to practice tests. So students do have the option of creating their own practice test. So I'm going to real quick just create one, and for the sake of time, I'm just going to add in some random. At the top, you can see that they can click on this drop-down menu and jump around to different chapters and lessons. And I'll just add a couple more. Once they've added those lessons that they know are going to be on their upcoming test or quiz, at the bottom right, they'll click Start. Oh, I need to add the number of questions. Sorry. We'll just say 25. Sorry, there we go. All right, so once they click Start, this is, again, very similar to what an online quiz or test would look for students, but this is the practice test. In here, again, for the sake of time, I'm just going to select some random answers, put in random answers. I do think it's important to see the feedback that students receive after they have submitted it. At the top left-hand corner, you can see where it says question 5. It is a drop-down menu. Students can jump around to different questions. They can hide the ones that they've already answered. So very easy for them to navigate through the test. Now at the top left, I'm going to go ahead and submit my assignment. This is just telling me I haven't answered all the questions, but again, for the sake of time, I just want to show you the feedback that they receive after they've submitted it. Now at the top of the screen, you can see this blue review button. So if I click on this, it will take me to the exact questions I received. It'll show me if it was correct or not. If it was incorrect, it'll show me what the correct answer is. At the top right, or towards the top right, you can see this open tutor. They can open up that step-by-step feature as well. So they can easily go through there. Now coming back out in that. Back in here. If we scroll down back on that main screen after we submitted the assignment, you'll see that there's this pie chart and bar graph. The pie chart is going to show the student how they did overall on the assignment, and the bar graph is going to break it down by lesson. So at the bottom of this graph, you can see each of those lessons that I included in the test. This is a great visual for students to see where they need to focus their time. I can see based on the key at the bottom that 1.1, I have the most incorrect. So as a student, I could click directly on that bar. It's going to take me to the practice mode of that specific lesson where, again, I can work through as many of these questions as I want in order to prepare for that upcoming test or quiz. Now, I am going to jump over here. I do, again, want to share some in the instructor side. Real quick, Joanne, I'm going to pause for a second, see if we have any questions that have come in so far.
Not yet.
Okay, perfect. Then I'll just keep going. So we'll go into the instructor side now. You can see I've logged into what we call our Teach account. Again, I'll just click into college algebra and keep it all the same for now. At the top left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see each of these tabs. I'm going to mostly just focus in the assignments tab for now. A couple things I will mention is that we do have instructor resources, additional instructor resources available for you. We have created PowerPoints, we have chapter projects. Some of our titles have lesson level projects, so a variety of different instructor resources. But I'm going to focus again under this assignments tab for now. This first option we'll jump into is lesson due dates. Before we go in here, I will mention or point out that on the left, you'll see a list of my sections. And on the right, you'll see this drop-down menu with all these different templates. So everything in the instructor side is completely templatized. So once you create the template once, you never have to recreate it. So it's nice because, if you're going to use the same template from semester to semester, you can just copy it over. If you have, let's say, for example, a lot of adjuncts and you want to push it out to other instructors, you have the option to do so. So again, once it's created once, you never have to recreate it. But I'll go ahead and just click into a lesson for now. You'll see here a list of all of those homework lessons. Please keep in mind that all of our homework lessons are pre-created, so they do include questions already in there. You do have the option to customize those, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But very easy to come through and assign the lessons that you want by clicking on the calendar to the left of the name and selecting the day that you want it due. So again, can easily scroll through here and assign those lessons to your students. A couple of other things I'll mention on this page right above this blue ribbon, you'll see the shift multiple due dates. Let's say, for example, class is canceled due to inclement weather. You can put in the first due date that you want to be shifted, what you want the new date to be, and then when you click go, all of the lessons that you've assigned after that date will be shifted that number of days. Under show additional options, I do like to mention when you give a homework lesson a due date, it's automatically going to appear in the student's to-do list, but maybe you do not want it to appear until a specific day. Under this visible on column, you can select this calendar and choose the day you want it to appear to your students. Now coming back out, the next thing I'll go down to is curriculum. And again, as I mentioned, all of the homework lessons are pre-created, but you do have the option to customize. You will see a list of, let me go ahead and save this. You will see a list of those lessons on the left. The next column will show you the number of questions that are included, the number of steps, so if there's any multi-step questions, how many strikes, and the mastery percentage, both of which you can edit from here. Now you'll see that each of these lessons is hyperlinked, so I can click into a lesson. I'll just click into 1.1 for now. It'll show you the question bank on the left and the assignment or the questions that we've included in the assignment on the right. Very easy for you to go in, add additional questions from the question bank or remove questions from the assignment that you do not want your students to see. Keep in mind that this is for the practice and certify mode of the homework. So again, on the left, you can add any of these questions. On the right, you can remove any. Now, coming back out, a couple of other things I will mention that I have seen to be very popular setting-wise. So in here, by default, on the student side, a student can go directly into Certify without having to complete any of the practice problems. But you'll see the second option. You do have the option to allow students to unsuccessfully attempt Certify X number of times before requiring practice. And then if you require practice, what percentage of those problems you want students to complete. So for example, I work with a school, this one sticks out to me the most, just because it was most recent. They allow students to attempt Certify one time. If the student is unsuccessful in Certify, they do not complete that, then they are required to go back to practice and complete 75% of the questions before they could go back and attempt Certify again. Another popular option is this last one on the left, which is Flex Mastery. I see this and usually recommend this for a higher level course, maybe calculus. We know how long it takes to complete some of those problems in calculus. But what this is you can allow students to retry a missed question with new values instead of receiving a strike and Certify. So it will allow them to attempt it X number. You choose the number of times that you want to allow them to attempt it, but it will give them new values in the problem. They can attempt it again without receiving a strike. Now, coming back out on the assignments tab, the next one down is web tests. And this is where you can create any kind of test or quiz for your student. Now, you'll see a list of my tests here. In order to create a new one, you'll see the middle of the screen, this create new button. When you click on that, it's going to look very similar to the lesson builder tool. So where we were editing the curriculum for the practice and certify mode, where you'll see the questions in the question bank on the left, We have our test on the right-hand side right now, and it is blank. We just need to add some questions. There's two different ways to add questions to a test or quiz. This also doesn't necessarily even have to be a test or quiz. It could be maybe you want to print a worksheet for students, but it's anything that's not in the practice or certify mode. Again, two ways to add questions, but I'll go ahead and click on chapter 1 to expand it. Maybe you want the computer to generate, we'll say 10 questions from lesson 1.1 and 1.2. We'll select the boxes to the left of those names and then click add. On the right, you'll see that it is generating 10 questions for us. You can scroll through and see those different questions there. The other option, and you can jump around to different chapters and lessons, is you can click on the lesson name. Again, you'll see that they're hyperlinked, and it's going to open up the question bank for that specific lesson. So in here, again, you can scroll through, add any of the questions from the question bank that you want to include on your test, quiz, worksheet, whatever it is that you are creating. If you click add again, now we can see that this question is in use 2 times, so this question type will appear for students twice. So again, can easily scroll through, add any of those questions that you'd like. In the top left-hand corner, you'll kind of see this trail of breadcrumbs, so to speak. You could go jump back and click on different chapters, lessons, whatever it may be. Now, once you save it, there's 2 ways to assign the test. You can export it to a Word document where you can make further edits from there. Right now, you can print up to 10 different versions. So again, you can print it for paper pencil. The other option, and let me just go back here to one that I've already created, is to assign it online. So when you assign it online, you do have a couple of different options that I like to mention. The main things you have to do are under general settings. So in here, if I click on this general settings, it's going to open up. You have to put in the start date, end date, start time, end time. You can make it password protected, put a time limit on it, allow for multiple attempts. But if we come back out, a couple other things I'll mention, the student settings by test. Maybe a student is missing the day of a test and you're allowing them to make it up. You can edit the settings for that individual student for that individual test there. The next one down is prerequisites. Maybe you want students to complete all of the lessons in chapter 1 before they can access the chapter 1 test. You can set those there. I will click into additional settings. A couple things I'll mention here. We do partner with Respondus Lockdown Browser, so you can require that. So if you're not familiar, that is where students can't access anything outside of the test. We also partner with Respondus Monitor. So if your school has a partnership with them, we can also enable that. You can make it pass fail, diagnostic. So a lot of different options there. The next one is manage IP template. So we work with some schools who require students to take a test within a specific lab. We can put in that IP address range, and then students cannot access the test outside of one of those computers. The last one here is student settings by student. Let's say, for example, your student receives time and a half due to special accommodations. You can set that there, and it will apply to each of those tests or quizzes that you assign. The last thing here under assignments that I will mention is this question builder tool. So we've given instructors the feature or the capability of creating their own questions. This is the same tool that our content team uses in order to build questions to our question bank. So you can make them multiple choice, free response. It could be a graphing question. You can make multiple iterations of the question. You could provide your own tutor feedback for students. So again, same feature or functionality that we use or our content team uses when creating the questions we give to you as well. Excuse me. This last thing, the last tab I'm going to jump over to is reports. So once you've created your section, this is where instructors spend the most of their time. You'll see on the screen that we do have a ton of reports. They are broken up into columns, grading, lessons, and web tests. If there's a report you're looking for, we probably have it. But we have pulled our 4 key reports. These are the reports that we see our instructors using the most. So starting on the left-hand side, this first one is all student scores. This is really just your typical grade book. So when you click display student scores, you'll see a list of your students, their final grade, letter grade, and then each of your assignment groups here that you would have created. You can expand any of these to see the score. You can click on the grade to edit the score, review the assignment, or edit the settings for that student as well. Please keep in mind, these are all fake students. Fake data, this is not a true class. Now coming back out to reports, the next one over is detailed student grades. So if you click onto this, you'll see towards the top of the screen, you can click and select an individual student's name. So here, when you click on it, you'll see each of the assignments. It'll show when they submitted it, if it was on time, late, or overdue, what the score was. And then on the far right under actions, you can click on those dots and edit score, edit the due date, or review the assignment from here as well. Back out to reports, the next one over is search by criteria. So this is a place where you can put in a set of criteria and to filter and see what students fall within that criteria. This screen is broken up into two boxes. So on the left, we have grades, and on the right, we have activity. On the left, maybe you want to see students who have an overall grade of 0 to 80. When you click filter report, it'll show a list of those students. This is not showing that many, but if you have a longer list of students that fall within the criteria, it's nice because at the top left, you could select all of those students and send an email directly from the screen. So you are addressing all of your students' needs, but really saving you time is our goal here. On the right, maybe you want to see students who haven't logged in for a week. So I'll put 7 days, filter the report. You'll see I have a much longer list here. You can again select all and send them an email directly from the screen. Coming back out, the last thing that I will mention is our assignment reviewer tool. And this is one of my favorite reports, one that I actually wish that I had when I was in the classroom teaching. But when you click onto it, it's automatically going to default under lessons. So those homework lessons. You can see the same thing for web tests and the standard lessons. This is where I have my fake data. But if you scroll down a little bit in this bar graph, you'll see again a list of all those lessons you've assigned, the number of students who have completed it on time, late, or overdue. Down at the bottom, again, a list of those lessons, the number of students who have certified, and the average time spent in learn, practice, and certify. From here, I could click on a lesson name. So I'll just click into 1.1. It's now going to show you a list of those students. It'll show you if they've mastered it or not, the number of attempts it took them when they completed it, and their individual time spent in learn, practice, and certify. Now from here, you can click on the student's name. So I'll just click on this first student. You can see this student has attempted it twice. You can review each attempt. So you can see the exact questions the student received, what they submitted as the answer. If it was incorrect, what the correct answer was. And something I also really like is at the top, you can see the time that they took to answer the question. So again, you can scroll through and see each of those there. Now that is, again, it automatically defaults under students, but if you toggle over here to analytics, it's going to show you on a per question basis. So if I scroll down a little bit, you can see there were 8 questions in this assignment, but great visual to see where students are struggling. We can see almost half the class missed question 1. You could click on that question, and it's going to show you the question type that students struggle with. I have a lot of instructors that I work with that will pull the screen up in front of class. There's not any individual student data, but a great way to address those commonly missed questions, whether it be on the homework or a test or quiz. But those are the reports. That is everything that I have to share with you all today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can address any questions.
All right, so looks like we have a couple questions here. There is a question about the PowerPoint slides for business statistic courseware. Let's see. So that should be available if that's for the current edition. Just to jump in for a moment, if that's for the current edition, those are going to be under instructor resources, either through the gradebook or through our instructor resources link on our website. We are definitely happy to connect directly. The second edition Discovering Business Statistics PowerPoints are still in the works and will be released soon. Looks like this came from an anonymous attendee. So if you do want to share your name and email, we're happy to reach out to you to follow up on that. There is another question here. Is there any way an assignment reviewer of knowing from the graph the names of the students that have not done the assignment?
So you would be able to see that under the student. So I can share my screen again real quick. Might be easier. So if we're under lessons and we click into lesson 1.1 again, when it automatically defaults under students, you can see if they have mastered it or not mastered it. If they have not mastered it, then it is not completed. But you can see that this, like, for example, this first student has attempted it twice. So they have tried, but they have not mastered it. Same with this student towards the bottom. They've attempted 4 times, but not mastered it.
All right, we have another question here. Which LMS systems do you integrate with?
Yeah, great question. So we fully integrate with Moodle, Blackboard, D2L or Brightspace, Canvas. Am I missing any?
I think that should be, so it's the 4 main ones, and then yes, anything outside of that, you can always export your grades and import them if you do work with one of the smaller LMSs. All right, and then what resources do you offer for instructors? We touched on this a bit, but if we could go back into that for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have, and I will mention that based on the title, it could change a little bit. So we have PowerPoints, we have that you can download and edit from there. We have chapter projects, lesson or section level projects. I'm trying to think. We have a full question bank that you can pull questions from to create test quizzes, edit the homework. But those, I would say, are the main ones.
Okay. Would you be able to share a little bit as a recap about the resources available to instructors in terms of support as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So upon adoption for Hawks and your whole time using, you have, again, our entire tech support team available. So 24/7 live chat. We have the phone hours available Monday through Friday until 9 p.m. Eastern time. Again, we always answer those within the first 4 rings. In addition to all of that, each school receives a training and support representative. So that representative would work with you, whether it be one-on-one, on a department level, however you all prefer in getting your courses set up. Even upon completion of setup, they work with you throughout the semester, through the years of using Hawks, to make sure that everything is running smoothly.
Excellent. And then one more question about the licensing structure at Hawks. I think we might have a slide on that if you want to share that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull that back up and share. So here again, we do have the various different purchasing models. So the licensing is going to depend on the purchasing model. So we do offer lifetime access through these first 2, so direct from bookstore. So students, the traditional bookstore method where students would go to the bookstore and purchase their materials, or if they purchase directly through Hawks. And what the lifetime access means is that once the student purchases the access, they never have to purchase it again. With the inclusive access is the only model that does not offer that. But the others 2, we do have the lifetime access.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Catherine. I think that is just about all the time we have for questions. So we'll take a moment to transition into our giveaways. But thank you again for everything that you shared with us today. If anyone does have any additional questions,